Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso, and in today's video I'm gonna show you a yummy match against Invoked. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I will still be updating the best yummy masterclass with the information that I used to win Nats and made top 8 in the World Championship qualifier with Yummy Fiensmith. Already has over 5 hours of content and will eventually get to 6, 7, and even 8 hours at the end of the updates. So just for $20, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Now let's begin here with the replay. Now as you can see, I just lost the dice roll. So luckily for us, the way of Yummy Fiensmith being built, the engine cards are really good going first or going second, and we build the deck with a very heavy hand trap approach. So going second is not the end of the world almost always with this deck. As you can see here, we draw 3 relevant hand traps against the Invoke matchup. Well, Ghost Ogre not that relevant, but it is what it is. A hand trap is a hand trap. So he's going to start with Alistair the Invoker because at the end of the day, he may have drawn 3 different pieces of engine, but the three cards of engine, but Alistair the Invoker being 2 of those 3 is not gonna help him. And here you can see a very big difference in starting quality between, for example, the Invoke deck with the Jammy deck. Because let's say that I draw 2 Lollipops. Those 2 Lollipops are the extra Lollipop will be a second way to push because it will become an extender. But in this case, having 2 copies of Alistair the Invoker is just having 2 normal summons. It's not actually going to help you if the first Alistair got Imperm or Baylor or Ash or Purge, right? It's not the same as the Lollipop replacing the extension of the Minion, bringing the Minion, right? So this is a very big difference that I really need you to understand, and I think is very worth the pause to just appreciate that difference. So here is going for the Alistair. I'm definitely going for the Ash Blossom because here I'm kind of forced to use the Ash because if I start with the Porsche, I can't use the Ash anymore, right? So, but at the same time, because we understand that he can be rewarded with as many combo pieces as we may do, like for example the 2 copies of the same card, is very unlikely that he will have already an invocation. And even if he already does, having 2 invocations with this new way of the invoke being played is something that you can afford anyways. And if he has already the first invocation, the way that they combo, this Ash will have been waiting on his ass for a little while. And you never know what actually they will do if they develop the actual combo, right? They may have an extra piece that they allow them to make a Mekaba in between the shit, and now your Ash is even more useless. So you see my point, right? Here is just like a normal Snake Eye Ash, you are going to negate it. Here I think that he got overconfident and he didn't use the Call by the Grave in the Ash Blossom, thinking that the Sacred Spirit will just take him there, right? So I think that was kind of a misplay by him. But at the same time, already has the Ash Blossom, right? So he will be negating himself too with the Call by the Grave. Maybe that was the logic there. So here now he's going for the second way that he has now to search, because Alistair the Invoker got a lot of support, right? This shit, the other Alistair, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, those cards, or almost all of them, loses to the same cards that the Invoke deck were already losing to. So if I have those cards that I will use anyways against the Invoke original engine, I will still punish my opponent for having that support. For example, the Dominus Purge. I can just negate the monster because it's not the only thing that he has on the field, right? This card can play around the Purge, but when it's all alone, because it vanishes by cost, therefore there are no cards on the field for me to activate the Purge in the hand. But Alistair the Invoker just exposing in that sense, right? So maybe you can even make the argument to maybe doing backwards. Start with this one and then see if the Alistair can push. But in that case, you will be exposing also to Droll, so I don't know how strong that will be. So here, like, he only has a Call by the Grave and an Ash, so having 3 Yummy names will just destroy his ass, right? Here I'm going with the Marshmallow first, so I can push a lot, push everything without me using a normal summon. Because now that I see that he's an invoke player, obviously I know that my ogre is not that good. So depending on whatever he does, maybe I will need to use the normal on ogre so I can have two extenders, right? So that's why I'm trying to push here. Because I already have so many names, what I'm trying to do is see what this set is going to be and at the same time play around cards like Ash Blossom. Because here I can just protect the card from Ash Blossom by doing a chain block, chain link one the Synchro, chain link one the Crookie, and here I'm just basically playing about everything he has. The callback won't do anything because if he tries to chain it, the Synchro can revive the target, and the Ash Blossom is useless now because I'm chain blocking thanks to the Crookie. So obviously we are just going for the next game, right? At that point. So here again my opponent will go first. And in this case, I'm drawing both field spells, so I'm kind of fucked. At this point, I just have to go again. Some people may say that it will be better to wait for the Alistair the Invoker, but here there are a few things that you need to think about. If he has, because you don't want to risk them having Magical Meltdown and Alistair the Invoker, right? Then this push will be kind of useless. But at the end of the day, if they are starting with Meltdown instead of going straight with Alistair the Invoker, they are not respecting cards like Roland Lockbeard, right? That will punish him real hard. So I think that if they have Alistair the Invoker, they will start with it to respect Roland Lockbeard. So this was my logic here, and I don't want him to generate the actual name of Alistair because now the new cards can take a lot of advantage of such position, like they generating just the name. So I want to try to force him to be in a position of not having the name Alistair the Invoker. And this is my only hand trap too, right? So, I'm trying to see where we go. He had the other Alistair, the Reminiscent. So he's just normal summon it and do all his shit, right? He's gonna go for the new fusion. That is basically an extension to play. Well, he obviously not going to revive that. He's reviving the other one, the Reminiscent. He's going for the link because now the fusion in the graveyard can revive. Well, can make fusion again. And now you can just use both effects. So he's just going with it. And here we can just move forward, right? Like he's going to do his shit. He's going to special summon this one to get the other sword. He's just making a speed. You think this will be this? You think this wouldn't be that much, right? However, the problems will be these two set cards and the fact that I drew both field spells, right? It's not that much that I can do with this hand. So I'm trying to see if I can get this Marshmallow rid of so the Crookie can get me a better Yami name. But he's going to just fusion summon this card that basically like is a Doomsea Drastrus in the sense that this shit resolves, this shit hits the field, and you most likely will lose the game. Not only because the unsummon first part is amazing, right? Like banish cards from the field and or graveyards up to the number of monsters used as material. The problem is the next one. Then, if you use 3 or more materials, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and banish up to 3 cards from it. Like that will be enough of an effect for you to lose, right? Because you're losing 3 cards from the extra deck by choice, plus 3 other cards on your field and or graveyard. But if that weren't enough, as a quick effect, you can declare one attribute. All other monsters on the field become that attribute until the end of this turn. You know why this effect is also perfect against the deck? Because you make these Yamis not dark, you can't snatch it with them anymore. You make the Fiend Smith like anything but Fiend Light, like Fiend Dark, for example. They can make any Fiend Smith shit anymore. So this is basically a GG against the Yami Fiend Smith, right? So having cards like Gospel, for example, to negate that at least on summon effect is very important. The card is just brutal. Too brutal, man. So obviously I lost there. Now I'm going first. And as you can see, I don't have shit. I'm going first and I don't have any way to play. So here I decided just to not do anything because I don't want to give him the chance of me getting lighting or duster or even evenly match. And at that point, I will be just setting these cards in order to not to set the call by the grave, right? That I didn't feel was going to be that imposing in this specific scenario. So I just decided to save them so he can try to play or respect the idea that I may draw Fugalos, I may draw the Purulias, that I use it as a crossout type, whatever, right? Just try to keep them guessing instead of thinking, oh, he saved those cards, so I'm pretty sure one of them may be an Imperm, the other one will be a Call by Grade, the other one will be an Ominous Purge, so now I don't have to think about other hand traps because now I know that he only has two other in hand, blah, 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 right? Why I'm going to put myself in the position of giving that free information right now when my only benefit will be just to set the call by the grave. Imperm and Dominus, I can activate them from the hand still, so I'm fine in that sense. So here again, Ash Blossom to the Meltdown, because if they are starting with the Meltdown, they most likely don't have an Alistair name in their hand. And right now, with the way that the Invoke works, they have a lot more spells to exploit the fact that they have an Alistair name already. Like for example here, not only the usual invocation, but the Book of the Law, right? So I think it's very relevant now to understand where to hit them. And sadly, like he didn't have anything fucking else, so he just have to pass. And now I just drew the Yami name, and this Yami name is going to take the shit out of the Ash Blossom and the Gospel. Because Magical Meltdown being a field spell, in order to try to play the game, forces you to expose a card on the field. And here you can see how relevant this will be, because now, without that Fuwa, this hand can beat the shit out of everything else he has. Just like you can see here, I'm going to decide not to normal summon the Marshmallow. I just don't want to risk any kind of situation right now. Realistically, I'm not going to make any normal summon in the development of this turn, even if all my shit resolves without my opponent doing anything else. So why I'm going to expose the situation of me maybe, like, I don't know this person. He may use like the Dominus shit, the Dominus Spark, because he's crazy. He's a crazy motherfucker, right? Whom you don't know. Maybe he's playing the Izuna package. Maybe he's playing whatever the fuck, right? Why you? The point is that Yu-Gi-Oh has more than 10,000 cards in this pool. So why the fuck would you put yourself in a situation when you are exposing yourself unnecessarily? Like here, yes, I can use the effect of Marshmallow, but what I am actually getting by using that effect? Absolutely nothing, because my normal summon won't be used at any point in the development of my combo just with Marshmallow, and I will be exposing myself to cards that will make me lose at this point, right? He has 5 cards in hand that I don't know, so always try to be respectful in that sense, right? So here we are going for the Snatchy to try to make our plays, right? Now we know that he don't have Baylor nor Ogre, but even if he has any of those, I have still also the Call by the Grave, right? So now I'm going for the Mignon. Here I'm going just for here. This is very important. Again, I explain it further and deeper in my guide, but go with the Lollipop Yami way here. Now you will revive the 2 ones, and here you will go for the Capsi Yami way. And now, thanks to this decision, we will beat even greater the ass of Ash Blossom and Gospel. Here, obviously, he's going to try to Ash the Capsi Yami way. And here, first, what I will do, because I have 2 synchros on the field, is to try to use the synchro to bounce and get my 2 monsters back, right? Because even then, just with this, I can kill him anyways, right? So I'm fine. And here, he may be aware of that, right? So he's using the Gospel. And now, imagine that, first imagine that I didn't have this Call by the Grave. If I went for the Capsi Yami wave here instead of the Lollipop first, the combination of Ash and Gospel will have killed me. Ash Blossom to the Synchro, Chain Synchro to revive 2, Gospel, I don't have shit, right? So here is a big difference. Again, I explain further and deeper in the masterclass that already has 5 hours of content, very good, high quality content. So here is just a spark of one of the benefits of consuming the guide. Going for the Lollipop here will give you the victory a lot of times, just like it is doing here, because I have the 2 synchros to play around Ash and Gospel, even without the Call by the Grave. Now, because this is a duel when I have the Call by the Grave, he is using the Gospel, I using the first, the synchro to chain, to guarantee that I'm getting these two back. And then after he okayed that gospel, now I'm calling by the grave, not the gospel, because that wouldn't make sense. I only have two Yamis in the graveyard to revive. So I actually want one of those synchros to be negated because I'm reviving the same number of Yamis no matter what, right? What I care about really is to use this Call by the Grave in the Ash Blossom that is still not resolving, right? So I can have the Yami names that I don't have still that will guarantee me the OTK. My opponent obviously is aware of that, so he's just conceding right away. So I hope you enjoy it, especially that last part that I think is very important for any Yami player to consider in today's format. If you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your people, and again, remember that the best masterclass is still available just for $20. Over 5 hours of content will become eventually 8 hours of content, and I'll see you in the next time. Bye bye.